So what was really the point of Ahsoka Episode 3? As we all know, when it comes to these new Star Wars shows, every now and then we get episodes that can feel like fillers, or something generic that doesn't lead the story forward in a notable or earned way. When it comes to Episode 3, however, I do not think it was a filler by any means, but it sure could feel like one since there weren't a lot of significant reveals that most of us hadn't already guessed, like the hyperspace transport ring. If you watch the prequels or the Star Wars The Clone Wars, you should be quite familiar with this machine already, and by this point I think most of the people who are watching Ahsoka have at least watched the prequels and would most likely have guessed their way to the intended use of the machine before it was revealed in this episode, especially with the visual and verbal information we got regarding the villain's intention closer to the end of the previous episode.
Installation of the final hyperdrive has begun.
Soon the Eye of Sion will be complete, and we shall deliver Grand Admiral Thrawn from his exile in the Fog Galaxy.
On the other hand, the Purgils, or as some like to call them, the Space Whales, really gave us a great look at the magnificence of the creature in Star Wars live action, since we've only really seen them in the animated shows before. But the underlying importance and essence of this episode I think resides with Ahsoka and Sabine's relationship, and even more specifically, mainly to reawaken or at the very least introduce the nature of the Master and Padawan structure, which they will be following throughout the series. And you might be thinking that I'm referring to their training session, which is fair because there's a lot to take from that sequence of the episode, especially regarding Sabine's mentality and her connection to the Force, or the lack of, as the droid indicated to.
I discovered that according to Hu Yang, I'm the worst candidate to be a Jedi out of every Jedi he's ever known.
You told her that?
It's true.
But the particular moment which I feel has the most impact in this episode is actually a very small scene that happens closer to the end of it, when they were going up against Shin Hati and Marok. Let's take a closer look at the scene I'm referring to.
Hu Yang, anything yet?
On the object, no. However, I have several thoughts on everything else
Hu
going
Yang,
on.
not now.
The way you're both acting, there won't be a later.
Sabine, tell me what you need. Move on my signal? Copy.
Specifically in this scene, you can see a notable change in Ahsoka as she is reminded of her position and responsibility as a master to Sabine. The relationship between a master and a Padawan is all about working together to solve issues and to learn from each other, and not simply to expect good results without any form of cooperation. One of the biggest issues about Ahsoka's mentality on having a Padawan learner under their wing is that she has a lot of bad experience with it, especially when it came to her position under Anakin and in some ways Anakin's position under Obi Wan. Ahsoka is also by nature an individual who arguably likes to work alone and feel like she knows best when she can think for herself instead of relying on others. And that type of approach goes quickly in direct conflict with her new position as a master for Sabine. Early on in this sequence, they struggle to communicate and organize themselves during the battle because Ahsoka wants Sabine to fight without having to think about assisting her with it. This quickly becomes an issue until Ahsoka realizes that she has to let go of her fears as a teacher and instead begin to work together with Sabine as her new master.
Woo! I got one! Good work.
I think personally that this is the turning point for Ahsoka in this episode, since with every episode before, she's been kind of distant to the idea of traditional teaching. With that said, I'm sure that we'll have even more moments when she will have to rearrange her approach and thoughts regarding Sabine's apprenticeship throughout the series, to really build up Ahsoka's character further. But I would love to know your thoughts on this episode, and whether or not you agree with my observations in the comment section below. And as always, may the Force be with you.